Hey guys, happy Wednesday. We're halfway through spring break, or whatever this week is supposed to be, and they've announced that schools are closed indefinitely, which means these videos aren't going anywhere. So hope you guys are ready to jump in to the Bible again today. All right, so today we are going to dive into Mark chapter 1, verses 40 through 45, which is Jesus and the leper. So today we're talking about the encounter between Jesus and the leper and Jesus healing the leper. So give this video a pause and read the passage. All right, so I want to explain leprosy a little bit more for you guys. Leprosy, because I know you guys all thought that. Leprosy is a pretty contagious bacterial disease. It is spread by prolonged touch. Although back in the day, it was believed that even a single touch from somebody who was a leper would give you leprosy. People were terrified of getting leprosy because it was uncurable and it would eventually lead to your death. In Jesus' time, before 1940, which is when it was cured, it was believed to be way more contagious than it actually is, and it was believed to be more serious than what it actually is, which all led to this heightened fear surrounding leprosy and how easily you could get it. In Jesus' day, lepers had to announce their coming. So like if you're walking towards a group of people, you would literally have to shout out, "Make way, I'm a leper, get out of the way, I'm a leper." So the people would know that you had this contagious disease. Israel, part of the laws that are in Leviticus, talks about leprosy, skin conditions, and they were ceremonially unclean. Just imagine that you were in this place. Everywhere you went, literally everywhere, you'd have to announce that you were unclean, that you had to announce to the world that you had this disease. All the jokes right now about when someone coughs, you, oh, corona, all of them. But imagine it never stopped. Imagine you had this for the rest of your life and it slowly got worse and worse. Imagine never being able to live with your family again. Imagine never being able to go to any family gatherings, which may be nice for you guys. Imagine never being able to celebrate Christmas with your parents and your siblings again. Never be able to get together ever again. That's what happens with leprosy. Specifically back in Jesus' day, you were shunned, you were isolated, you were exiled. You went and lived in a leper colony where you were literally you only lived with other people who had leprosy. Just imagine living with that for the rest of your life. How desperate would you be to get rid of it? So the guy in this story was a leper. Obviously, it's the leper coming to Jesus. But this would have been his reality. He would have been exiled from the community. He would have been scorned. He would have been ignored, isolated, all of that. But even more so, I talked about how much it would suck to miss family events, family gatherings. But with Israel, everything centered around 4 massive feasts. Like literally the nation would come together for a feast and celebration. I'm not talking your one-day family gathering. I'm talking about a week of great food, entertainment, all of it. As soon as this guy was diagnosed, he would never be able to go to one of those again. These rings were big deals in Israel, and he would never be able to go again. He was longing to be healed. He was longing to be cleaned. As I said, they were ceremonially unclean, which means he couldn't come to the Lord. He wouldn't be able to go to the temple and offer sacrifices for his sins. He would have felt hopeless. That's why he comes to Jesus so desperately on his knees, asking him, if you will, make me clean. That was the only thing that was on his heart. Not bless me, not, specifically he says clean, not heal. Lord, make me clean that I could come before you. It's essentially what he's saying. He wants nothing more than to be clean so that he can come before God, so that he can come together with his family. He can worship God in the way that he was meant to. There's nothing more important to him than that. He had so much faith to come out in public, to come before the disciples, to no doubt face mockery and shame at his condition. He had faith that Jesus was who he says he was. Is who he says he was? Was who he says he is. Anyway, he had faith that Jesus would cleanse him, would make him clean. He was willing to go through the shame, to leave his colony, leave his place where he wouldn't be ridiculed. He was willing to leave that all to come and meet Jesus for the chance to be healed. So let's talk about Jesus for a little bit. He's the main part. Let's talk about Jesus and what this passage reveals to us about him. First off, it says that he had pity on the man, and then he said, I will be clean. Reading this, I was like, pity, that word just doesn't sit right with me. And I was like, well, what does it mean? So this is what pity means. The feeling of sorrow and compassion caused by the suffering and misfortune of others. So when I read that definition for pity, and I was like, oh, no, that fits with who Jesus is. He's somebody who has compassion and sorrow over our lives, over our situations. He had compassion and sorrow over this man's leprosy and what problems that brought him in his life. Jesus feels compassion and sorrow over the brokenness, the uncleanness, and the sin in our life. This is such a glorious truth about Jesus because he doesn't look at our brokenness. He doesn't look at our sin. He's not filled with anger, but he's filled with compassion and sorrow. He looks at our pain, he looks at our sickness, he looks at all of those things, and he has compassion for us, and he has sorrow over the fact that sin is in our lives. Secondly, I want to look at Jesus' boldness. Jesus didn't have to touch this guy. Jesus could have just said, be clean, and he would have been clean. He would have been completely restored. But yet he makes the decision to reach out and touch the man. This is someone who wouldn't have touched a clean person since his diagnosis. This is a person who was very aware that if he touched anyone, they would become ritually unclean. And Jesus reaches into his brokenness and touches him and says, you are clean. Jesus isn't afraid to reach into our brokenness and to touch us, to heal us, to clean us, to bring us back to him. He's not afraid of where we are. He's not afraid of the brokenness of our hearts and bodies. He is willing and able to reach out to us, to step into the mess that is our lives and bring restoration. Jesus is compassionate and quick to reach out to us in our brokenness and to pull us out of it. Not to leave us there, but to pull us out and pull us into wholeness, to clean us, to heal us. So some things to think about and some questions. Jesus is compassionate. He reaches into our brokenness and brings healing, and he cleans up the mess that is our lives. Are you trying to clean up your own mess before you come to Jesus? Is that stopping you from coming to him? Is the mess that's in your life stopping you from coming to Jesus? Doesn't matter if you're not saved or you are saved. Are you allowing God to reach into your brokenness and to heal you, to clean up the mess that is in your life? That's not really a question, but the question I have then, I guess, is what's stopping you from allowing Jesus to clean up the mess in your life? What is stopping you from allowing him in to do what only he can do, to actually make you perfect as he is perfect? As I talked about last Monday, about being dead to sin and alive in Christ. We can't do that of ourselves. We need Jesus to do that in us. What's stopping you from him coming into your brokenness and giving you new life? Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. As always, if you liked the video, drop a like. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, click up here. And if you've missed any of our previous videos, here's the playlist for this week. Hope you guys enjoy and have a good day.